I'm using a lot of electronic sources of our AUCA library, and especially I like JSTOR and EBSCOhost. Dear students, especially senior students, I know this is the last year at AUCA and you are working very hard on your thesis, on your senior project, and I would recommend you to use not only physical books but use all electronic sources of our library. It's just excellent source, it's a universe, it's space of knowledge, and you should use it.
It's very refreshing to have electronic resources available to me at the university because, for example, I'm a senior student and it's almost impossible to go through my department or go through paper-based resources in order to find all of the articles that I need. I most of the time end up using either EBSCO or JSTOR because I find that they're the most resourceful links that I have through our school's online resource system. I encourage everyone to use it. If they don't know how, they can ask the local library attendants to help them figure out how to do so.
So the question that I'm supposed to be worrying about is what is the role of electronic resources in the academic life of the university? And I can say that there's at least 3 separate sections where that's an incredibly important thing. The first one is the most mundane, which is how does the university communicate with itself and with outsiders about what it does. And in that respect, electronic communication and electronic resources have completely taken over from all other resources at the university. We don't send pieces of paper around to students anymore. We contact them by Twitter, by Facebook. That's how they contact us. It's how we primarily present ourselves to the outside world as well, although we still do a certain amount of print journalism, but not a whole lot. That's not directly the academic side, but that is the recruiting side. It's the communication side. That's very important. Then, of course, in the teaching side of the university, well, I hope at this point pretty much every course is an e-course. I think all of us who teach have been teaching for a while realize just how much electronic resources have changed the way we teach, made certain kinds of things significantly easier. It's still early in the transition to full electronic teaching, and we still don't quite know how to use it. Now we still tend to use electronic resources as add-ons, so we still do the same things that we always used to do, but we add various kinds of graphics and add all sorts of illustrations and add music and add film. But we haven't yet really changed the way we teach conceptually to take advantage of these electronic resources. But I think that will come over the next few years as we begin to incorporate existing large-scale things like Coursera or edX in our teaching, begin to borrow lectures from those platforms and supplement them with materials that we create to create a kind of more dynamic teaching environment that takes advantage of the best things that faculty members can do on a small scale basis with students and melds them with larger scale things that can be provided from outside the university, allowing us to focus on what we do best on a day-to-day basis in the university. And then last of all, and probably the place where electronic resources have had the biggest impact is on research. When I was an undergraduate, the library was where people went. You went there because they had lots of physical objects that you could pull off the shelf. And I think all of us who grew up in that environment still miss those days. There's certain things of certain kinds of research that you just can't do electronically, and now no one does at all because they're too lazy to do that kind of thing, or because there are libraries that just don't have it. But the incredible ease with which you can now find materials on topics that you're interested in, I guess in the end really outweighs the losses that you have by not visiting a library and remembering that there are actually books and they do actually say something. So especially for things like articles and short form pieces, the databases that we now have available to us that will allow us to search incredibly quickly and if we know what we're doing, really narrow down an enormous amount of material, potential material, into a relatively quick down and dirty way of getting to look at what the basic information that we want to find is about, and help us organize our work, organize the topics that we focus on. It's completely transformed what we do, and obviously as more and more becomes available from the historical record, it will transform even more what we do. So I think for any student and any faculty member at a reasonable university in the 21st century, learning how to take advantage of what's available electronically is absolutely necessary. It will only become more important as we go forward. It would be nice also if people recognized what you can't do electronically and what electronic resources don't do for you. Certainly they don't think for you, and they don't rate your paper for you. In the end, you still are the one who has to put it all together. You're the one who has to decide what's important and what's not important. You're the one who has to decide which of these articles you're going to use and which, for whatever reason, you're not going to use. But the ability that you have now in an incredibly quick way to find out an enormous amount about whatever topic interests you is something you simply have to take advantage of. So keeping on top of what's available, how it works, what's the best way to work with it, that's your job, and it's also the job of the university through the library and through our IT departments to make sure that the latest information on what you can do and what you can use is available to you. So hopefully AUCA does that. Of course, with limited financial resources, it means we can't give you all the databases in the world, but we can give you quite a lot, and we hope that you all take advantage of what we have available for you. Thanks.